It was supposed to be a normal night, a young woman driving alone on a quiet road. Then suddenly her car crashes. Witnesses see her, police are called, but by the time help arrives, she's gone. No footprints leading away, no signs of struggle, no confirmed sightings ever again, just a wrecked car. And a mystery that has haunted investigators for years. What really happened to Maura Murray? Because the deeper you go into this case, the more it stops making sense. Maura Murray wasn't someone people expected to vanish. She was 21 years old, a nursing student. Smart, athletic, disciplined. She attended the University of Massachusetts. 2 friends and family. She seemed like someone with a clear future ahead. But beneath the surface, things weren't as perfect as they seemed. In the days leading up to her disappearance, small cracks began to show. Nothing dramatic, nothing that screamed danger, just subtle signs, the kind that are easy to ignore until it's too late. A few days before she disappeared, something unusual happened. Maura had an emotional breakdown at work. When asked what was wrong, she reportedly said, "My sister," but didn't explain further. Then, shortly after, another strange incident. She crashed her father's car. No major injuries, but it raised questions. Was she distracted, stressed, or dealing with something deeper? Then came the moment that would change everything. Maura emailed her professors. She said she would be gone for a week, a family emergency. But here's the problem. There was no family emergency. It wasn't true. So where was she going? And why did she lie? Whatever Maura was planning, it led her to a quiet road in New Hampshire. And what happened next is where the mystery truly begins. On February 9, 2004, Maura was driving alone. Her destination remains unknown. At some point that evening, her car veered off the road and crashed. A local bus driver stopped to check on her. She appeared shaken but conscious. He offered to call the police. She refused. That was the last confirmed conversation anyone had with her. Minutes later, police arrived. But Maura Murray was gone. No sign of her, no trace. Just the car, and what investigators found inside that car only made things more confusing. When police examined the crashed car, something immediately felt off. There were no signs of a violent struggle. No broken glass suggesting someone forced their way in. No blood. But what they did find raised even more questions. Inside the vehicle were Maura's personal belongings. Her phone, her wallet, her keys. Things you would never leave behind if you planned to disappear. And then there was something else. Alcohol. Investigators found containers inside the car. This led to one theory. Was she drinking before the crash? Was she trying to avoid getting into trouble? But even that didn't explain what happened next. Because if she left the scene on her own, where did she go? The area around the crash site was cold, remote, surrounded by woods. If she walked away, there should have been footprints. But there were none. No trail, no direction, nothing. It was as if she simply vanished into thin air. After Maura was reported missing, a large search operation began. Police, search dogs, volunteers. They combed the area surrounding the crash site. The goal was simple: find any trace of where she went. But what they discovered was even more unsettling. Search dogs tracked her scent, but only for a short distance. Then suddenly, it stopped, right in the middle of the road. This led investigators to a chilling possibility. What if Maura didn't walk away? What if she got into another vehicle? If that's true, then someone else was involved. Someone who may have picked her up, or taken her. And if that happened, then this case was no longer just a disappearance. It could be something much darker. Over the years, several theories have emerged, each one trying to explain what happened that night. But none of them fully answer every question. She ran away. Some believe Maura planned to disappear, that she wanted to start over. But this theory has problems. She left behind important belongings. She made no confirmed contact with anyone afterward, and there's no evidence she prepared for a new life. She got lost in the woods. Another theory suggests she panicked after the crash and ran into the forest. But search teams covered the area extensively, and no trace of her was ever found. No clothing, no remains, nothing. She was picked up. This is one of the most discussed possibilities, that someone passing by stopped, and she got into their car. Maybe she trusted them. Maybe she had no other choice. But if that's what happened, then who was that person? And why has no one come forward? This case is filled with questions that still don't have answers. Why did she lie about a family emergency? Where was she really planning to go? Why refuse help at the crash scene? And the biggest question of all, what happened in those few minutes between the crash and the arrival of police? Because that small window of time holds the key to everything. Years have passed, Investigators have revisited the case, new techniques have been used, leads have been followed, but the outcome remains the same. No confirmed answers, no closure. The disappearance of Maura Murray remains one of the most haunting unsolved mysteries, because it's not just about what happened, it's about how someone can be seen one moment and gone the next, without a trace. Years passed. Leads went cold, but some investigators believe the biggest clues in this case were never hidden. They were simply overlooked. Start with the scene itself, the crash site, a quiet stretch of road, a few houses nearby. This wasn't complete isolation. People live there, which means something important. Someone could have seen something and never realized it mattered, or worse, realized it and stayed silent. Then there's the timing, that small window between the crash and police arrival, only a few minutes, too short for a long escape, too short for someone to disappear into the woods unnoticed, but just enough time for a car to stop, for a door to open, for a decision to be made, and that decision could have changed everything, because if someone picked her up, that moment was the turning point of the entire case. Let's consider a darker possibility, not a planned disappearance, not an accident, but a chance encounter. A stranger driving down that road, they see a crashed car, a young woman alone, cold, vulnerable, possibly panicked. They stop. At first, it may have seemed harmless, an offer of help, a ride, a way out of the situation. But what if it wasn't? What if that moment was the worst possible decision? Because once she entered that vehicle, everything changed. No witnesses, no trail, no way to track what happened next. And if that's the truth, then the person responsible may have never been on anyone's radar. Not a suspect, not questioned, just someone who happened to be there at the exact wrong time. There's another layer to this case that often gets overlooked. Not physical evidence, but psychology. What was Maura thinking in those final moments? She had just crashed her car. She refused help. She knew police were coming. That tells us something important. She didn't want to be found in that moment. But why? Was she afraid of getting into trouble? Was she hiding something? Or was she simply overwhelmed? Because human decisions under stress are rarely logical, and sometimes, one small decision leads to something irreversible. There is one possibility that continues to haunt this case, one that many don't want to believe, that the truth is simple and terrifying, that nothing complex happened, no elaborate plan, no hidden conspiracy, just a brief moment, a single encounter, and a chain of events that no one witnessed. Because sometimes, the scariest mysteries are not the most complicated ones. They're the ones that could happen to anyone, even after all these years. This case remains unsolved. No confirmed sightings, no clear answers, just theories, questions, and silence. The disappearance of Maura Murray continues to puzzle investigators and haunt those who have followed the case, because it challenges something we all believe, that people don't just disappear, and yet, she did. Now it's your turn. What do you think really happened that night? Did she walk away on her own? Or did someone take her? Drop your theory in the comments. And if you want more deep, real stories like this, make sure to subscribe, because the next mystery we explore might be even more disturbing than this one.